All right, so let's quickly move on the show tonight. Let's see if we can bring to you what's happening right there in Côte d'Ivoire. Earlier in the day, Côte d'Ivoire booked their place, talking about the Women's World Cup, booked their place in the final of the competition, beating Mali 2-0. The game Nigeria-Ghana currently going on. Last time I checked, it was a goal apiece. But I'm very sure if there's any update, we will let you know. The game is currently going on right now. Wish the Super Falcons all the best as they try to get into the final of the Women's World Cup and possibly win the competition. Okay, let's move on from there and quickly take a trip to Washington. That's where we're going to start off things tonight. Let's quickly take a trip to Washington and join our friend Sonny Young from the VOA. Let's have him talk to us tonight. Hello, Sonny. It's good to have you join us on the show tonight. I know there's a lot to talk about, but first, let me welcome you.
Sporty greetings, Yemi. It's always a pleasure to be on Sports Tonight and to chat with you and all your many viewers all across Nigeria.
All right, let's talk about what has been missing for a week that's going to begin early hours in Nigeria, thinking about the NBA regular season after, the All-Star game. Let's talk about some of the things to look out for as we expect that.
Well, the regular season resumes later Thursday night here in the USA, Yemi. It'll be early Friday morning time in Nigeria with 6 games. One of the featured contests involves my favorite team, the Washington Wizards, but they're going to go up against a team they've had a lot of problems with in recent years, the Cleveland Cavaliers, led, of course, by LeBron James. LeBron recently won his 3rd career NBA All-Star Game, Most Valuable Player Award, another great all-around performance by LeBron. But he's now leading, Yemi, this new look Cavaliers team. They made a big trade right before the All-Star break. They basically shed their older players, including Dwayne Wade, and they brought in some younger players, more athletic, and so far it really seems to be paying off. They've won 4 games in a row since making that trade at the All-Star break. LeBron seems very enthusiastic about playing with these new players. Among them, Larry Nance Jr. He previously played for the Lakers. His father, believe it or not, his father played for the Cavaliers 30 years ago, and he was a top NBA player in his own right. So Larry Nance Jr., one of the players the Cavaliers brought in. Right now, the team with the best record in the NBA, Yemi, the Houston Rockets.
Okay.
And they look very good at this stage. They've won 10 games in a row going into the All-Star break. The only team with a longer winning streak is the Utah Jazz. They've won 11 games in a row. But quick shout out for Rockets guard James Harden, still sporting my favorite beard in basketball, Yemi. He's leading the NBA in scoring right now at 31.3 points per game. Harden has also made the most three-point baskets in the NBA. I think he's made 208 three-point shots, so his long-range shooting is still very effective. And if I could quickly mention 2 more players, statistical leaders right now, the leading rebounder, Yemi, is Andre Drummond of the Detroit Pistons. He's averaging 15.7 rebounds per game. And the man leading in assists, Russell Westbrook, the league's reigning most valuable player of the Oklahoma City Thunder. But LeBron James, at least right now, I think he's still the best basketball player in the world, Yemi, just based on his performance at the All-Star game.
Yeah, I agree with you. No arguments about that. The king still reigning as the top. All right, let's leave basketball, Sonny, and let's really move and talk about the MLS, Major League Soccer. Some Africans are doing great things in the MLS, possibly some Nigerians as well.
Yes, indeed. One team in particular in MLS, Yemi, Orlando City SC. They're based in the southern state of Florida. Their most recent move, they brought in Lamine Sonny, previously with Werder Bremen in the Bundesliga. They brought him onto the team, still pending some visa requirements, but it looks like Sonny is going to join Orlando City. And they also made a name for themselves at the end of last year. I believe he's the first Libyan player to play in Major League Soccer, Mohamed El Munir. They signed him last year, and so he's also with Orlando City. And so, yeah, I think we are seeing more and more African players in MLS. And still with U.S. Soccer, Yemi, quick shout out for Carlos Cordero, recently elected president of the U.S. Soccer Federation. He takes over for Sunil Gulati. Gulati decided not to run for a fourth term after a rather embarrassing elimination by the U.S. men's national team. They failed to qualify for Russia, and Gulati felt like he had to step down after that embarrassment.
All right.
But one of, and I know it's tied to Africa, Yemi, one of Cordero's big platforms right now is trying to win the 2026 World Cup, this joint bid with Mexico and Canada. That said, I think Morocco could surprise Cordero and the Americans. They might be able to win that bid. I'm not at some point. You know, I think a lot of soccer fans here, Yemi, felt like the U.S. and Canada and Mexico were a shoo-in to get that World Cup, but now they're not so sure anymore.
Okay, Sonny, let me really ask you this. Former FIFA President Sepp Blatter has been throwing his weight behind Morocco. I don't know if his endorsement is worth anything now, but for Sepp Blatter to be saying, I think Morocco should get it ahead of the United States joint bid, does it count for something?
Well, I tend to agree with you, Yemi. I'm not sure Blatter has much weight in international football right now, but that said, Blatter did do so much for African football when he was in charge of FIFA. It was during his reign that South Africa won the 2010 World Cup. And right now, South Africa, the only African country to host the World Cup. So perhaps Blatter is, kind of planting a seed that for FIFA to look at other countries, not just Mexico, Canada, and the USA.
Okay, let's talk about Cordero a little before we go to boxing. He's been in there for a while, and a lot of people are saying maybe not many things will change in the United States Soccer Federation. I don't know what you think about that.
Another good point, Yemi. He was vice president for a couple years under Gulati. So you're right. He was basically Gulati's right-hand man. Interestingly, both Gulati and Cordero, born in India. Okay. And Cordero has an interesting background. His parents, I believe, are from Colombia, as well as Portuguese. His father is sort of Indian Portuguese. And so Cordero, after being elected the U.S. Soccer Federation president, said he hopes to bring in more minorities into U.S. soccer. He wants to bring in especially the Hispanic player, large Hispanic population here in the USA. And a lot of people feel like they're on the outside looking in when it comes to participation in U.S. soccer based on the fee. It's called fee for play. And a lot of the best players maybe can't afford to join some of these youth development clubs. And so that's part of his platform. He'd like to break down some of those barriers to for minorities and Hispanic players.
All right. Sonny, let's talk about boxing a little. Let's talk about Deontay Wilder and Ortiz, the mild drama. Deontay Wilder calling Ortiz a cheat, says once a cheat, always a cheat. All of this coming ahead of that big bout. Do you think Ortiz is going to be troubled by those comments? And by the way, do you buy his explanation for failing that dope test?
You know, I really don't buy his explanation, Yemi. I think Ortiz and another opponent that Wilder was scheduled to face, they both failed drug tests. But part of this trash talk and hype going on now ahead of their March 3rd bout, I really feel it's to drum up ticket sales, Yemi. Just as a point of comparison, Ortiz-Wilder will take place in New York City at the Barclays Center Arena, which is where the Brooklyn Nets of the NBA play. Seats about 20,000, and I don't even know if it will be sold out for this Wilder-Ortiz WBC championship fight. Compare that with Anthony Joshua, Joseph Parker at the end of March in Cardiff. It already looks like a sellout. 80,000 at the Principality Stadium. I think Wilder, in many respects, is still struggling to be a draw in boxing, Yemi. Whereas Anthony Joshua is already established his bona fide stardom just based on attendance.
Okay. Before I let you go, let me ask you this. How did you receive the news that as early as maybe July, August, that Anthony Joshua, talking about AJ now, might just fight in the U.S.?
I would love to see AJ fight here in the U.S., Yemi. I don't know that he needs the USA in terms. I mean, I mentioned the attendance over in the United Kingdom for his fights. He's drawing huge crowds. What he would bring if he came to the USA is, I think some American boxing fans would become a little more familiar with him, because I know his fights so far have been shown at odd times here in the USA, and I think American fans might become a little more fond of AJ, and I think it could definitely boost his popularity.
Okay,
but we'll see.
Okay. Sonny, I want to thank you. It's always a pleasure having this chat with you. I want to thank you. Hopefully, we'll do this again next week.
Thank you, Yemi, and have a very good evening.
All right. Thank you. That was our friend from the Voice of America, Sonny Young, filling us in with what is happening on his own side of things. Okay, let's go on a break now. When we return, we'll be taking a look at badminton in Nigeria. Join us again.